So the next step, guys, we have assembled the wheels. That's cool. There is a difference between assembling the rear wheels or the front wheels. So I have already done the front suspension. Don't worry, it's quite a simple one, so we will repeat the process for the rear ones with addition that is for the rear ones only. So the fronts one are done, beautiful. I've got the adapter right here, which is quite nice. I did mention already that this one here is the 30-degree adapter. Let me explain. So you know you got two different decks, the straight longboard decks, or you've got like a mountain board style decks when the front and the back of the deck are tilted. I am using a straight longboard deck, and this is the carbon fiber skin deck that is on my channel already, the Manta Pro, but customized by me. In order to use this kind of style of hangers, which are like a mountain board hangers, you need to get that angle, because that's how they work. In order to do so, you can get special adapters. So this is the adapters right here. These are from 3D Services. I already got an initial review of the gear drives and the adapters on my channel. Take a look. You can get them in 30 and 35 degree angles. As you can see, there's a slight difference right there. So one is 30, one is 35. The reason for two different ones is, well, people have their own preferences on the angle of the trucks, because that does affect the performance of your board, meaning the wheel wobbles or stability at high speed, and also maneuverability, so how nicely you can carve. Let's take a look at this chart right here that might explain just a little bit better visually. Okay, so what I've done, guys, I've ordered both sets from 3D Services, the 35 degree and the 30 degree. I'm going to use a 35 at the back, so I'm going to get the back kind of angled more or wedged more than the front. It's pretty much the same principle as the buyer boards use, you know, with the deck having a different angle of the front and the rear. So the rear of the deck is a little bit tilted backwards. That is proven to give you better stability, and this is exactly what I'm going to do. So here we go. Now I've done the front with 30, so now I need a 35 degree. This is the higher one right here, so we're going to hold on to this. Let's put the rest of the stuff aside. Okay, so now the difference between assembling the front or rear wheels is literally just adding on the mounting plate that will be then hooking up to the gear drive right here, and that's going to make the contact, and obviously when your motors spin, motors will go right here, your wheel will spin. Simple as that. When you order a full set from 3D Services, yeah, so hangers and the gear drives, it comes like this, assembled. So everything you need is already there, and it's put in for you in an order that it goes in. Really nice. Look at this. The washers, the nuts, the bushings to go into the base plate, everything is there for you. Nice, I like that touch. You also have all your adapters already put in for you, but the screws or bolts that you need to take out are loose. They're not blue blocked in or anything like that, so they come out very easily. Just to mention, guys, we're only going to assemble the wheels and we're going to install the plate on it. We're not going to actually mount the wheel on the gear drive as yet. Without having the motors installed makes no sense, because you still have to take the wheel off and get the front plate off in order to grease it all up, okay, and also to install the keyway. I will make a separate video on how to install the motors onto the gear drives, like pretty much the same system for every single one of them out there, but this one will be particularly for the 3D Services gear drives. So one more thing that I do really like about getting this stuff from 3D Services is that you do get all the hardware, like screws, in separate bags, and it tells you exactly what they are. So it tells you if it's for the motor, if it's the keyway, it tells you it's for the MBS hub screws or whatever not. Everything is labeled, which is really nice. The reason why there are screws for the actual MBS hubs is because the original MBS screws, which are right here, are only long enough to hold two parts of the rim together. However, you need a bit more length on it to also hug one of these adapters. But it's not to worry because screws come with a kit. And these screws do have these countersink head on them, because the adapter has the countersink hole. So when you put them in, they hide and they become nice and level. Spot on. So as simple as this. Obviously you know that the rear of the wheel is right here. You install the adapter plate right over the holes and you put the screws through. Make sure that everything sits nice and evenly. You're happy with the way your air valve is sitting. Do not over tighten up the screws straight away. Have them loose so you can play around with the position of the hub. For the moment, yeah, I like the way everything sits in. No problem at all. And now we're going to tighten up. I went in diagonal, same as you would in a car. And that's it. Now your adapter is on. So next step is you're going to put the adapter over the axle, and then another set of screws will hold the wheel onto the gear drive. As simple as that. That looks really sexy. But as I said, we're not going to do this at the moment because we still don't have the motors. Because of all this COVID stuff, motors a bit delayed. I got 20 on order and they're about to drop. So we will review the motors as well, guys. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to show you how to assemble the rest. So the adapter for the longboard deck, also the MBS aluminium base plate, and we're going to install that all on the trucks. There's a couple of little tricks, especially how to actually install the bushings, because they're so precise that they go in quite tightly. And I'm going to tell you what else I've made in addition to this kit, because I think it's much better to have these. And also we're going to tell you what I would have changed about 3D Services kit. It's only minor on aesthetics, but yeah, let's do it. So the things you're going to need, preferably a no tooth or really smooth surface, pliers, wise grips, whatever you want to call them, channel locks in America. If you are using the ones with the teeth, that you will most likely going to have this type, I would recommend you have some packers or something plastic quite strong, so you don't leave any marks. Guys, trust me, it's going to get much clearer as soon as we start. So let's take the original assembly apart. So you got your locking nut, you got the washer, really thick and nice. Actually, let me tell you straight away what I thought about things I would have changed with 3D Services kit. Black bolt and bright yellow brass washer. I get it, it's a high quality, it's really complicated structure. I mean, the bolt, look at this, it starts off with the shaft and the thread, it's nice. On this side you got the Allen key. It's all really high tensile steel. Oh, sorry, it's all really good quality and high tensile steel, but I would have preferred for these washers, for instance, to be black, and for the where is the nut gone? And for the nut to be black as well. It will match quite nicely. So now what you get left with a hanger. There's a nice bearing in there. Actually made in EU. It's Slovakian. Very nice. I like that. I like that a lot. So now we're grabbing the base plate, and what we need to start with is actually installing these urethane bushings into the base plate holes right there. If you will try doing it by hand, you will think that something is wrong and the size doesn't match, because they're so precise. It's really tight. Now let me show you how to do this. So we're taking the bushing and we're also taking the grips. I'm using the ones that got no teeth. We roughly get it to position where the grips can actually hug the bushing and also grab on to the hanger, base plate. On the side where there is a an open surface right here at the front, we're going to use the plastic spacer. It's like a construction thing, or you can use anything that's plastic thin enough. And now we'll line everything up as square as you can get it. We're now going to put the grips over it. Okay, so the bushing just went in slightly. By hand it's impossible to do. Now we're going in further with the grips, and the same procedure, protecting the surface, and we're pushing the bushing even deeper. And one more step. That's it, and we're in. You can actually get like a little shaving from the bushing because it's so precise, but it goes in quite easily, as you can see, guys. Nice. So pay attention how we're going in with the flared bit from inside. Very nice. So obviously you can use other grips as well, and as I said, if there are teeth, put something between the bushing and the actual base plate so you don't have the nasty scratches. You want to keep everything as neat as possible. So let's do the second one. Beautiful. Bushings are in. So you can put the grips away. Okay guys, now let's put the base plate onto the trucks. So remember, this where your motors go. So this is the back of the board. This lovely writing on the base plate goes outwards, so like this. Because imagine this is the way it's going to look like on your board, with motors lifted a little bit. So let's put this base plate over the trucks. Oh, look at this, precision is absolutely gorgeous. Very nice. Now we're going to use the bolt provided with the washer. Don't forget the washer. Now think to yourself, what do you want to see at the back? The nut or the Allen? I would prefer the Allen. So we're going to line up the holes, but lift it up just slightly from the alignment, because we now have to install these. These here are the suspension blocks. They come in different colors depending on what strength do you want. Soft, medium, hard. I'm going to start with hard because, well, I'm heavy and I like my board stable, but then I might play around with maybe having hard in the front and soft in the back. I don't know yet. So next step, on the trucks you've got these two Allen bolts. These are actually tensioners. So what happens is when you screw this in, this pin right here comes up and it pushes on the base plate of the suspension block, and it makes it tighter. So what we need to do for starters is unwind them. Okay, so they're nice and flush. I had to take the base plate off just to show it to you guys a bit closer. So base plate goes back in. This is the way the blocks go in. You cannot miss it, guys. I mean, it's logically, when you look at it, that's the only way it can go, because you got this retainer spring inside the this retainer spring right here inside the base plate, and that's the only angle that the block will go in comfortably. You can see straight away, it's quite straightforward. Okay, so now we're going to line up the hole. Make sure you get it lined up. And now the bolt goes in. Actually, before the bolt goes in, I'm going to use a bit of multi-purpose grease and put a tiny little film on this bolt. These are steel, so they could potentially rust a little bit. Mate, just tiny bit, nothing a lot. Might actually help with getting that in. That will slide a bit better. Obviously remember, everything is really nice and tight because it's very precise, so don't get frustrated. Do not apply any unnecessary force. Try to push on the base plate, because remember, the blocks are giving you a little bit of resistance. So you push it down and you kind of wiggle the bolt a little bit to catch it. I think it's a bit easier to actually give it a bit of a weight behind it. Okay, so that's in. Now we need to line up this hole right here. As you can see, it's not quite straight, so a bit more force. And we're in. Guys, it is quite hard to work on the boards and then film at the same time, but you get the idea. Yeah, be as gentle as you can. So you don't have to get the bolt through all the way down, because you can then use the washer and the nut provided to actually bring the bolt straight through. Obviously make sure the washer is in, because bolt got that thicker and thinner part. So watch the bolt, still wants to go in a bit more. Okay, it's just caught, so there is no movement on the washers, and I'm not going to go in any further, because I want to try the board actually standing on it, and if I need to, I can tighten this up. But at the moment, there's nothing moving. Perfect. Obviously the suspension blocks will not let you try anything or move in anything, but imagine if your weight goes on it, it will move. So now, remember we took out the these two bolts here, or the screws. These are, as I said, to regulate the adjustments on the blocks. So what you need to do now is, guys, what I do, I will push on the blocks inwards, just like that. You can feel them moving, and I'm going to start winding the adjusters in. You will feel when the adjuster goes in to this hole in the back of the plate, because it will go flush. This one here at the moment does not go in, so it's not lining up. So let's just play with it a little bit. I think it probably wants to go in just a bit more. If not, take it out, look inside and see what's not lining up. Okay, so it's in now. Do not over tighten them, just get them flush, because if you want a bit more rigidity on your suspension, you can wind that screw straight through, and that's going to compress onto the base plate of the block and obviously get it nice and tight for you. So that's it. We have now assembled the actual trucks and the base plate, and this is the way it's going to look like. Beautiful. Let's mount the wedge or the adapter. You don't have to do this if you got the mounting board deck, as I mentioned, the one with the angles. This will go right on it just like this in an angle. But now imagine if your deck is straight, you're going to end up with this space between the base plate and the deck itself. And this is where the adapter comes in. Okay. This kit does not come with any gaskets, riser pads or anything like that. You could potentially, if you really want to, use the gasket provided with the base plate from MBS, and you're going to end up with something like this. But then you will have all this rubber all the way around. I didn't like the way this looked, which is okay to be honest with you, but what I've done, I've cut a gasket out of 0.2mm thick rubber to just go exactly precisely under the adapter, and that's looking much neater. Something like that. Very simple to do. These are nice quality, very deep socket Allen screws, and they drop in nicely through the adapter and become nice and flush. Never tighten up all the screws, or the first 2-3 screws, before you get all of them in and catch the thread nicely, because you want this little movement to actually catch the thread. So we go, guys. Don't need to go too tight, just pinch it so the rubber is nice and tight. Now the other side. Ah, beautiful sound of snap on. Yeah, nothing beats good quality tool. On the MBS base plate, there is actually nuts already inserted inside actual structure of the base plate. So really and truly you're kind of done. But because the lock nuts are already provided anyway with the kit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use the lock nuts on this side here. For starters, I don't want to see this naked thread. Second of all, that's going to just give me that peace of mind that I did not use the blue block and the bolts are not going anywhere. Beautiful. Look at this. No naked threads, nice and secure. Spot on. So this is the way the trucks will look like when installed on a deck. gorgeous. Guys, just a little tip. If you want to use like locking nuts like I've did over here for the back as well, which you obviously want to do, is assemble the adapter onto the base plate first. It makes it much easier, because now it is quite hard to get to the nut through these openings here, like you're fiddling with it forever. Yeah, so assemble that to that, then that to that. So it's going to be like an adapter on the base plate while you inserting the hangers. Much easier. I thought I'd let you know. I was too lazy to take it apart to put the adapter on, so I just DIY'd or customized my 8mm spanner to fit in nicely. Yeah, well, DIY throughout. Still hot from grinding it. Okay, so the rear and the front trucks are fully assembled. They're ready to go on the board. But the first thing we need to do is install the motors, and this is what the next video is going to be all about. Yeah, that's it really. So I hope you like this video, guys. It's quite simple. It just gives you the idea of what 3D Services gear is. It's quite good quality, very nice, and how to assemble it, and also gives you an understanding if you could actually use a longboard deck with mounting board trucks. Yes, you can. Ride safely, be safe, like the video, subscribe, well, you know, the usual stuff. I'll see you very soon.